Believe it or not, UFOs are real, though we don't really call them that anymore. These days, we have a new acronym to describe unidentified flying objects. We now call them Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon, or UAP.
UAP are airborne objects that, when encountered, cannot be immediately identified.
Deputy Director of Navy Intelligence Scott Bray speaking at the U.S. House of Representatives Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, the first public hearing on the topic of UFOs, or UAPs, in over 50 years. Bray used the hearing to share clips of unidentified objects captured by military personnel. The clips are all interesting, but don't get excited about visits from extraterrestrials. Most of these objects aren't unidentified because they appear alien, but rather because our encounters with them are so brief, it's genuinely hard to get a good look at them.
There it was. That's, in many cases, that's all that a report may include. And in many other cases, we have far less than this. This often limited amount of high-quality data and reporting hampers our ability to draw firm conclusions about the nature or intent of UAP.
So what are these UAPs then? Bray says that the Department of Defense has 5 explanatory categories to define a potential object. A UAP incident will be marked as resolved if it can be likely categorized as airborne clutter, natural atmospheric phenomena, or U.S. government and/or U.S. industry development programs and foreign adversary systems. And these categories are how the U.S. government has been explaining things like the Roswell incident. First, dismissing the famous UFO sighting as a weather balloon, before clarifying in 1994 that the Roswell wreckage were leftovers from Project Mogul, a series of microphone-equipped balloons that were designed to detect Soviet atomic bomb tests. Similarly, a lot of the would-be UFO sightings around Area 51 over the years were eventually revealed to be part of the program that created spy planes like the SR-71 Blackbird. Although most UFO and UAP sightings fall into these clearly defined and explainable categories, Bray says there is an other category for hard-to-define cases that he says leaves open the possibility of surprise and potential scientific discovery. Though that doesn't necessarily mean the answer is aliens. A number of the videos Bray showcased at the hearing fall into that category, with some caveats, of course. For instance, at one point Bray showed a video of a strange, flashing triangular object. This footage fell into that other category for years, but when a Navy ship that was monitoring small, unmanned aerial systems in that area later recorded similar footage through night vision goggles and an SLR camera lens, it was concluded that the method of video recording had obscured the object's true shape, creating the strange, flying triangle. Still, the task force doesn't have answers for every UAP in their database.
I would simply say that there are a number of events in which we do not have an explanation, and there are a small handful in which there are flight characteristics or signature management that we can't explain with the data that we have.
Although some of the encounters remain unexplained, the UAP task force is hesitant to entertain more imaginative explanations for aerial phenomenon. When questioned, Bray made it clear that the military has never communicated with, fired upon, or collided with a UAP, and they have no evidence that any of the objects they encountered are alien in any way.
The UAP task force doesn't have any wreckage that isn't explainable, that isn't consistent with being of terrestrial origin.
Okay, so we may not have learned a lot from the first UFO hearing in half a century, but that's okay. This new footage alone makes it one of the most intriguing congressional committee hearings of the year.